Alright guys, so we've done a video on his style many a times, but we're doing another one because he's one of my favorite photographers. So filmic look with digital cameras. So we're trying to achieve these tones, this texture, the really nice texture, just really nice contrast from highlights to blacks. Those blacks are still kind of dark and they've got the softest touch to them. There's grain for texture. There's blue tones, a heavy use of blue and green, and then as you can see, his feed is set up with blue on the right, warm in the middle, green on the left. But I'm showing you how to recreate this photo here. So we have the raw image, and yeah, so there's lots of work to do in the curves. It's a very curated feed, so to achieve this sort of look, you really have to understand Lightroom, understand what you're doing in Lightroom. I'm not sure if a preset would just get you here in this type of style because it's so curated, it's so intentional, the editing, and then you got to pay really close attention to the colors that are naturally in the image as well. Smooth contrast, those blacks do get a bit dark sometimes. There's grain, so we're trying to get those filmic qualities of softness, texture, colors, especially those green colors that really come out through film, and yeah, that soft texture that doesn't look digital. So we're trying to get away from that digital look, going for this really nice style here. So again, his links are down in the description. 2.8, 35mm, ISO 200, fast shutter, so plenty of light shooting into the sun. So that's why fast shutter, low ISO, open if so we can get this depth. She is blurry, and then 35mm is probably the focal length he uses the most, going by his Instagram feed. And the lens he used was the Canon 24-70 Mark II 2.8. Hey, so in this tutorial we are going from this one to this one here. So this is his edited image here, and we have the raw, and we're trying to recreate his filmic, soft, the blue tones, the green tones in this image in particular, because you can see it's kind of purple, and we're going for the soft blue, green tones, and I'm going to show you how to do that with the exact same raw image of his. Okay, so there are some settings already done. So these curves, so this curve and the color channels have already got some adjustments, but I'll go over why I did those. And then there's a few brushes, I'll show you why I chose these brushes as well. So just those adjustments are already done. So we need to really increase the exposure because a lot of our curves are bringing down the exposure, but we need those curves for the matte and the shine they give to our image. So let's also drop down the contrast, and we're going to bring down the highlights. This also helps that little bit of detail back there. Whites, because we want to keep some pop to the image. For the grain, so I can just adjust the grain quickly. I'm going to dehaze this image quite a bit. This is going to add in a lot of contrast, really bring down the highlights kind of. It reveals a lot of detail. And then we're going to really soften and bloom the image with clarity. And then just touch a texture. Some blacks. And then some shadows. Okay, and for toolbox, I've programmed these buttons here, so I can just roll the wheel like this. I just hover my mouse over top of the tools. So I'm going to come to split toning, because I think there's just a really strong amount of green, blues in this image, aquas. So we're going to get this greenish blue, and we're going to go with about a 5, and then across the mid-tones we want a little bit of this blue here, so Then as for highlights, we want to add the majority of these blues. We're going to go up to about 13. It doesn't do a huge amount, but it's enough. It actually does do quite a bit because that brings back all those natural tones that we want. Go back to the top. So we want to introduce more greens. So I'm just going to drop the tint a bit. And before I forget, I'll just go into enable profile corrections, chromatic aberration. Then we want to get into hue. There's not a lot of greens in here, just in the water, and we want this bluish aqua that he has. We want more of a teal or a green to the aquas. The blues. Want this green tone that he has. Purples. And then saturation. So the green in the water there, I think it can go. Oranges down, you can see his skin tone was too bright there. Down a bit. Blues. Okay, but just before we get into luminance, the brightness of colors, I want to come to the curves and do some in this channel here. So this is where we're going to get a lot of the matte and the shine and that unique contrast that is very hard to achieve in a lot of styles. So we're going to bring down the highlights and see if you go too far it looks a bit strange. Lights down. So we're adding in contrast, so and matting it. So, and we definitely need to bring this down. See that little bit of strong contrast we get in the darkest of areas? Really need that, so we're going to bring that down quite a bit. Maybe some fine tuning. So what's going to be really important is the luminance here. So we want the brightness of our blues up. You can see that gives the shine his image definitely has. I'll do that with the aquas as well. And then we've got the skin tones. Luminance of the reds. And then we will just come to sharpening. Drop the sharpening because we want it extra smooth. We don't want any of that digital look. I'm going to come all the way to the bottom into calibration. Now, from previous tutorials I've done on his style, I have used this tool quite a bit, so I'm going to use it again. You can see how it makes the blues and the reds really stand out in this particular photo. So I'm going to do that. Back to split toning. I just want to play with the blending. So blending is like, do you want to favor the highlights you put in or the shadows? And I just want to favor the blues a bit more. So back up top, we just want to increase the whites a touch. Let's go. So I just want to show you all the filters I chose to go with. So if we click on this one, you can see this is all the filters in action. So the sky's a bit brighter, the subject's a bit brighter. So we've got one on the subject here, so exposure and contrast up a tiny bit. Pretty typical for a subject shot. Most interesting things in the image, I'd say, so these big boulders here, they are a pretty important part of the image. And then just up top here, exposure. So exposure up, just to like enhance the glow of the image. And we've got the whites up, so just give it a bit of kick. And then the settings for this was just like exposure up of the main things that draw our eye, add shape and make the image look nice. And I'd probably even increase contrast to these areas as well. Kind of important. And maybe even like the back of your head could do with some contrast there. I'm pretty happy with that. So if we go reset and then back, reset again, back, reset, back to ours. And then if we actually go like this is a really good way to see how well we did. Is here's our edit, And here's his edit, our edit, his edit, our edit, his edit. What I haven't shown you yet is the curves, so let's come to the curves. So here we can see S curve, bit of contrast. We've got the greens are slightly favored in the mids, a bit of contrast, and then the blues are down, so a bit of warmth into the mid-tones. He's got a really warm style, vibrant style, so that warmth in the green tones, that's exactly the tones we've got going on in his image. And then like your curves is where you're controlling the amount of detail or matte to your image. Do you want more matte? Do you want more detail? So yeah, and then this curve was that shine to the blacks here. We just needed a little bit. He doesn't have too much of it. And then say we probably need like a bit more detail down the back here. Ours is a bit harsh, so you might want to like play around with the whites. See how we get that detail back up there. But then also with highlights, that's as far as we can go. So you might want to play with the white point. You can see the white point doesn't really give us detail back though. So maybe further down. I think this is good. I think we're most of the way there, and yeah, I think it looks good. So we're about done with this one. Okay, just looking at this, I feel like shadows need to come down, or blacks, maybe blacks. But yeah, I'm happy with that. There probably needs to be more blues throughout the image, so like I wish there's more blues down here. So I might just hit this, come to split toning, and just maybe even the blending to more to the right. This is going to favor our blues more. Okay. And then maybe we're getting a bit too aqua. So I might come in here and shift the blues a little more to the right again. So they have a more of a purpler tone. Okay. Again, there's the before and after full screen. Before and after. So again, his links are down in the description. And if you want to learn more about the Lightroom tools, so really in depth about the curves and really in depth about color, I've got a free training just down in the description. And then you'll go through like free presets, free raw images, free raw DNGs, and free trainings on more into what the tools do, why move the tools, how to achieve different styles in that free training and in the email. So make sure you're in the emails.